Hey everyone, I'm Sison, and today we're taking a look at the Sigma 12 to 24mm f4 Art Series lens. The Sigma 12 to 24mm is an ultra-wide angle zoom lens and is primarily targeted towards landscape and architectural photographers. Now it comes in a variety of mounts from Canon, Nikon or Sigma, but you can also use it on the Sony E-mount cameras via the MC11 adapter like I'm doing right here with my A7R2. Now for Sony shooters, this may be a great option for you because to this date, Sony does not offer anything wider than the 16 to 35mm lens. And if you're looking for something that's just a little bit wider than what Sony offers, this may be a great option for you. Now for Canon, Nikon or Sigma shooters, in terms of autofocusing performance, for example, it's going to be a lot different from this camera. And in fact, right off the bat, I can tell you it's going to be a lot better than what you're going to see later on in the video. Now that that's out of the way, let's just get right into it. The lens has a nice black finish and has a solid build which keeps in line with Sigma's other Art Series lenses. It has rubber zoom and focus rings, a focus distance window, the Art Series badge, and a switch to change from autofocus to manual focus. You'll notice towards the front of the lens that it gets a bit chunky. This is because of the bulbous front element, which actually sticks out quite a bit, so you can't attach any screw-on filters. The hood of the lens can't be removed, but this is also a good thing as it offers some sort of protection. And when the lens is not in use, you can attach the slide-on lens cap. It has a metal mount and a rubber gasket to protect the lens from any moisture or dust getting in. For Sony users, you will need to use a Sigma MC11 adapter to attach the lens onto your camera. But unfortunately, since there is no form of weather resistance on the adapter itself, I wouldn't really recommend using this in wet conditions. Now the lens weighs approximately 1.15 kilos, and that's pretty heavy. But when you consider how wide this lens actually is, especially with its constant aperture, you can forgive Sigma for making this a bit heavy. Although when you do compare it to the Canon 11 to 24mm f4, it's actually a tad heavier, weighing in at 1.18 kilos, and that's more than double the price of this lens in Australia. Now I've been shooting with this lens for a while now, and I don't know if it's me, but I still can't get used to the focus ring being towards the front of the lens. Now it's only when I use manual focus, and it's not a huge issue, but it's more of a minor annoyance. Speaking of the focus ring, it offered just the right amount of resistance, and for me, that was perfect. Although the zoom ring did have a bit more resistance, which isn't a big hassle. Now, because of the weight of the lens, the camera is going to be front heavy, but I imagine people who use this lens may have their camera on a tripod all of the time anyway. Stabilization is not built into the lens, which is common because it's not really needed for wide-angle lenses. But if you're a Sony user and have an A7R2 series camera or an A6500, you have stabilization built into the body. The lens can focus as close as 24 centimeters at the long end of the lens. When zooming in and out, you'll notice the front element extend and retract. This can in some ways suck up dust and trap it within the lens as it's not completely weather sealed. It does have a water and oil repellent coating though, which can be useful for when you're shooting near the ocean. HSM, otherwise known as a hypersonic motor, is built into the lens, making it fast to focus, especially if you're using this on a Canon, Nikon or Sigma camera. Unfortunately, it's just not the case with the A7R2, and tends to struggle even more in low light situations. Also, in some instances, I wasn't able to achieve focus at all, so it resulted in me using manual focus instead. Just a quick note, you do have manual override if you're shooting in autofocus and need to tweak it with manual focus, which is a nice touch. Shooting with this lens gave me some very sharp images in the centers, especially when it came to me shooting with the lens at the wide end. However, when shooting at the tele end, the images weren't as sharp as I hoped it would be. In terms of chromatic aberration, I didn't notice any, but with vignetting it was apparent at f4, so stopping down to about f8 would remedy this issue. As for distortion, I was surprised as I thought there would be a severe amount, but there really wasn't. It's actually one of the best wide-angle zoom lenses I've used when it came to distortion control. Autofocus blur was okay, but nothing to brag about, but as far as wide-angle lenses go, people don't look to them for the bokeh. Okay, so I'm using the Sigma 12 to 24mm lens on the Sony A7R2. It's at its widest focal length at 12mm, and I'm hoping this is giving you an idea of the video quality that you can expect from the camera and the lens itself. Now, as you can see, there's a lot of room to play with. I'm about 50 centimeters away from the camera. So like I said, if you're doing maybe holiday videos or vlogging, I don't imagine people using this for vlogging because it's too heavy. There's a lot of room to play with, and you can capture a lot of scenic shots or groups of people. So this might be a useful tool for you if you're doing videography. Now, I am using this in continuous autofocus, so you may be able to hear the autofocus motors focus in and out, only if you're in a quiet environment. If you're in a place where there's, I guess, a lot of people or noise or ambient sound around, you won't hear it as much, or you probably won't hear it at all. So I hope this is giving you an idea. Let's get back to the video. The Sigma 12 to 24mm f4 art lens is a lens that I think would be a valuable addition to anyone's photography kit, especially if they're looking for the flexibility of an ultra wide angle zoom lens. Now, for Sony shooters, this is a great option, mainly because, like I said earlier, Sony does not offer anything wider than a 16 to 35mm lens. And what's great about this, if you use it with the MC11 adapter, you're still going to get all the autofocusing modes and functions of a native E-mount lens. Now, as for filters, you can't, unfortunately, you can't screw on any to the front, mainly because the front element sticks out quite a fair bit. So you're going to need to get custom filter holders, which will in fact add some cost to your kit. Now, taking a quick look online, I couldn't really find any other than from a brand called Nissi, which I'll link into the description below. Now, in terms of autofocusing speeds, with the A7R2, it wasn't all that fast, and in fact struggled even more in low light situations. And in some instances, I actually had to use manual focus because the camera wouldn't lock onto anything at all, which is a bit unfortunate. Now, I definitely know that you won't get this issue with Canon, Nikon, or Sigma cameras, but in terms of distortion control, it held up very well. And like I said earlier, it looks like one of the best ultra wide angle zoom lenses that held up very well in terms of distortion. So in terms of the price that you're paying, as well as the image quality at the wide end, it's a lens that's well worth it. Now, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment below. And if you already own one, let me know what you think of it. And remember to like this video if you found it helpful, and subscribe to my channel for more Sigma reviews and tutorials. You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram for more photo updates and sample photos. And don't forget to check the description below for purchasing links and more information about this lens. Now, until then, happy shooting and thanks for watching. Via the MC11 adapter, which I'm doing right here with the Sony A7R2. The bat, I can tell you it's going to be a lot faster than what you're going to see on in this video later on. Anyway, now that that's out of the way, let's get right into it. Yeah. The Sigma 12 to 24mm. Let's get right into it, and I'll see you soon. Why'd I say that? Now that that's out of the way, let's get right into it. Yeah.